The All-Star race has officially concluded from North Wilkesboro Speedway, and we see complete domination by Kyle Larson. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got watching the 2023 All-Star race from North Wilkesboro. We had quite a bit to talk about from this race, including the racing and some a bit of the short track package as well in North Wilkesboro itself. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So let's talk first about the All-Star Open. So obviously the All-Star Open was 100 laps. Pretty much straightforward. There'd be a competition caution on lap 40, but it's pretty much a straightforward race. Ty Gibbs would dominate the early portion of the race. When the competition caution came out on lap 40, we saw Josh Berry win the race off pit road. He would pretty much put up a dominating clinic, though. There was a couple cautions that ended up happening. First, Noah Grace, who would end up winning the fan vote. He hit the inside wall really, really hard and collected Todd Gillen, Chandler Smith, and I believe another car, I believe that being Ryan Neiman, also got involved in that crash. Then the next caution, the final caution of the All-Star Open, ended up happening, and we saw some contact basically where Ty Gibbs on the inside, and Michael McDowell and Justin Haley had some damage from that, bringing out the final caution. Then it became pretty much a dash. Ty Gibbs actually had the race lead from Josh Berry, but what ended up happening was that Michael McDowell was frustrated with Ty Gibbs. He got to his inside and basically kind of forced Ty Gibbs, I think, up just a little bit and then opened the door for Josh Berry and Eric Almirola to make a pass. Almirola wasn't able to pass, so Josh Berry was able to pass, and he would have come off the corner to win the open race. Ty Gibbs would finish second. That means Josh Berry and Ty Gibbs would both transfer into the open. Those are the two that I predict would make it into the All-Star race after finishing first, second in the All-Star Open. And Noah Grayson, like I mentioned a second ago, he would get into the All-Star race by winning the fan vote. Despite having a ton of damage on the car, he would get into the All-Star event. Congratulations, those drivers, on making it into the All-Star race. I know there were some tempers for Michael McDowell that ended up happening, but still, nonetheless, we saw that end up happening. So now, let's jump into the All-Star main event. So Daniel Suarez started on the inside and Chris Buescher on the outside, and Daniel Suarez was able to get a really, really strong run, was able to clear for the race lead, while Chris Buescher would drop all the way back to 11th position and be pretty much out of contention from the get-go. So Daniel Suarez is dominating early, but Denny Hamlin's car really was starting to come in the middle portion of the early run in this race. Denny Hamlin had a very, very good car and was closing in on the backbone for Daniel Suarez. Then on lap number 16, the first caution in the race to come out for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who spun from 17th position by Eric Jones. Stenhouse just completely came down and basically ran down the racetrack and got turned by Eric Jones. Eric Jones, nothing he could do there. That's completely Ricky Stenhouse Jr. That's his fault, unfortunately. At this point, we see a little bit of strategy where guys like Austin Dillon, Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, and Josh Berry would come down pit road while everyone else would stay out, and Kyle Larson would get a speeding penalty. So on the restart, Daniel Suarez lead the field from the inside with Chase Briscoe on the outside, and we saw Daniel Suarez able to get a really strong run and able to clear for the race lead. Meanwhile, as Daniel Suarez is dominating, Kyle Larson's car really started coming into play. Despite struggling throughout the weekend, Larson's car really started coming in, and he would put up a really, really big run up to the front. It was the best car to get up the front on those fresh tires, and was eventually able to get up to the race lead and pass Daniel Suarez. We saw a little bit of strategy where guys like William Byron and Kyle Busch would come down pit road trying to get fresh tires. But at this point, you had Kyle Larson, who was just putting up a dominating clinic and pulled out to about a 10 or 11 second lead. It was honestly very, very impressive to watch. Then eventually near the end of this, before the competition caution came out, Daniel Suarez was able to get passed by Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace jumps up to second, passing Daniel Suarez. And then on lap 102, the competition caution came out with Mark Truex Jr. getting the free pass. So then all the cars would come down pit road with Kyle Larson winning the race off pit road and Bubba Wallace coming off second. Meanwhile, Ross Chastain would get a speeding penalty, Joey Logano would get an uncontrolled tire penalty, and Chris Bell would also get an uncontrolled tire penalty on pit road as well. It cost him a shot at a good run. So then, on the restart, Kyle Larson leading the field from the inside with Daniel Suarez on the outside, and Kyle Larson was able to clear for the race lead. He would put up a dominating clinic, pull out to about a 3 or 4 second lead, dominate the race, never get challenged, pulled out to about 5 second lead, and he would come off the corner and dominate and win the 2023 All-Star race. Kyle Larson, I have no idea, to be honest, how his car became so good. That 5 car was extremely strong. No one really had anything for Kyle Larson tonight. Not much happened behind him. They weren't catching him. Bubba Wallace at times was a little bit quicker, but Larson had a completely really strong car. And you look at past years like 2021, where Kyle Larson got the All-Star win. He only, I believe, had one win at the time by the time the All-Star race happened. After the All-Star race, Kyle Larson just started winning back-to-back. And I think that this 5 team, especially how fast they've been this season, and how close they've been to winning races, I think Kyle Larson is due to have another big winning year. I'm not saying he's going to get 10 wins like he did in 2021, but I think he certainly gets 6 or 7 wins by the end of the year, and I think he's definitely got a shot at winning the championship. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the race results, and I'll give you my score of tonight's race. So Kyle Larson picks up the victory. Bubba Wallace finished second. Fantastic run for Bubba Wallace. This 23 team definitely got help because of strategy, but they were really fast throughout the weekend, and their long run speed was actually extremely impressive. Bubba Wallace has been definitely turning the corner. That's technically, even though this doesn't count as a points paint event, that's technically his 3rd straight top 5 finish in a row. I think 2311 Racing is due to have a couple wins here going forward. They've been really strong and really quick with Bubba Wallace. Tyler Reddick finishes 3rd. He was terrible this weekend until this race. Had a very fantastic run tonight. Gets a very solid 3rd place finish. Great run for Tyler Reddick. Chase Briscoe finishes 4th. Definitely his best run outside of Martinsville this season. Chase Briscoe was really, really good. Seems like SHR has been faster in the short tracks. He was carrying the torch for SHR tonight. Very solid run for Chase Briscoe. And Chase Elliott finishes 5th. Solid run for Chase Elliott. Chase, I thought, was going to be much stronger than he was in this race, but still a very solid top 5 finish. Couldn't really pass and get up there, but it's still a good run for Chase Elliott in 5th. Ryan Blaney finishes 6th. Solid run for Ryan Blaney in 6th place. Daniel Suarez finishes 7th. Suarez was the strongest car in the early portion of this race. I have no idea what happened to the 99 car, but they kind of fell off, especially near the end of this race, and they kind of started falling back in the clutches of other drivers. Car did not seem as good. They lost some positions, I think, on pit road and lost a shot at the victory, but still they end up finishing in 7th. Eric Jones finishes 8th, probably one of his better runs of the season so far. The 43 team has struggled a lot this season, so good run for Eric Jones in 8th place. They're one of the few cars that could charge up front with the fresher tires. Good run for Eric Jones. 10th place goes to Joey Logano. Joey Logano with a decent run tonight. Came back for a penalty. Ty Gibbs ended up finishing 9th. Ty Gibbs raced his way into the race and was one of the few cars to get up front. Decent run for Ty Gibbs. Ross Chastain finished 11th. Did have a few drivers he really kind of got into, but not much really controversy in him for the first time. Just hard racing for him. Didn't have the best car, though, tonight. Surprising, but 11th place is not terrible, all things considered. Christopher Bell finishes 12th. Not a great run for Christopher Bell. Bell kind of struggled. I thought he was going to be a little more factor, especially after his heat race. Kind of struggled tonight. Denny Hamlin finishes 13th. Denny Hamlin, not a great run. Joe Gibbs kind of struggled outside of Ty Gibbs tonight, which is surprising because 23-11 was definitely much better. Denny Hamlin finishes 13th. Not the greatest run. Mark Truex Jr. finished 14th. Also thought it was going to be more of a factor tonight. He completely struggled in this race in 14th. Chris Buescher finished in 16th. Not a bad run for Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher, I don't know what happened to him. He was really strong early in this race. Was one of the big contenders and one of the big factors. Thought he was going to be more of a factor tonight. Shame he couldn't be more of a contender. Austin Dillon finishes 17th. Pretty decent run for Dillon. Not great, but a decent run. Kevin Harvick finishes 18th. He was actually my pick coming this weekend. I thought Kevin Harvick was going to have a shot to win. Never had the speed this weekend, unfortunately. It's cool to see that 29 car back on the track. Just not a good run this weekend. Brad Keselowski finishes 19th. Solid run for Brad Keselowski. Well, not a great run for Brad Keselowski, actually. Keselowski had a top 5 car early. Thought it was even more of a factor. Not a good run for him. William Byron finished 20th. For the first time in a while, seemed really far off. That 24 car was not fast at all this weekend. They kind of struggled and were terrible in this race. Austin Cindric finishes 21st. Cindric had not a great car, has been really not good at all this season, and not a great run. Kyle Busch finishes 22nd. Kyle Busch was terrible this weekend, and I expect him to be a lot better. Just not a good run for Kyle Busch. And 23rd, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember who finished 23rd, but Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finished last in 24th. I think the 20th or 18th or something like that might have been, actually, 17th was Austin Dillon, and 23rd was Josh Berry. So those are the results. So now, let's talk about the overall race as a whole, and I'll give you my score of this race. Honestly, the first 30, 40 laps was probably the best action, especially when you had guys like Kyle Larson coming up to the field. That was really, really exciting, and I really did enjoy the sliding around. However, once Kyle Larson got the lead, I'm going to be honest, this wasn't the most exciting race in the world, and sometimes, especially at short track races, you're not going to get the most exciting racing. Plus, there wasn't as many cars on the racetrack. That being said, I'm unfortunately going to give this race a little bit lower of a score. I'm going to give tonight's Cup Series race overall a 5 out of 10. I really love the atmosphere. They did a really good job. I thought the open actually was really, really good. I would have given that an 8. This is basically a 5, unfortunately, for me. I just think the next-gen car, they need to work on this car a little bit more. I thought it would have been a little better tonight, and it seemed like early in this race it was going to be really, really good. It's just a shame that Kyle Larson put up a dominating clinic, but hey, as a Kyle Larson fan, I'm definitely really, really happy. But I do agree with a lot of fans, the short track package definitely needs to have some work on it because the short track package is hurting the racing, and it's not North Wilkesboro. But I will say, compared to other races, I really enjoyed the sliding around. That was really, really fun tonight at North Wilkesboro. So that's one thing. I really do hope we come back to North Wilkesboro in the future. I just hope we have a better package next time for the short track races because, like I already mentioned here, the short track racing has not been fantastic this year outside of Richmond, in my opinion. But I will say that I didn't think this race was terrible. It could have definitely been better for sure. But I will say it's the next-gen car problem more than anything else. But that's really about it, and I wish that they could do something about it, but it is what it is. So that is going to be it for tonight's NASCAR All-Star Race Review from North Wilkesboro. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below over that, and comment your thoughts below on today's race. What are your thoughts on tonight's All-Star race? Let me know below. Let me know your score on the console, and congratulate Kyle Larson on putting up a dominating clinic and winning the All-Star race. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have multiple videos on the channel. We're going to have the NASCAR news video on the channel. We got some news to discuss over the last few days. We're also going to have the Truck Series race picks for the weekend in Charlotte. We've also got a lot of other content coming out. It's the biggest weekend in motorsports coming up. The Monaco Grand Prix, the Coke 600, and the Indianapolis 500. We've got Indy 500 race picks dropping, potentially starting a lineup video dropping on Tuesday as well. Should be really, really fun and really exciting. A lot of content dropping, and I cannot wait to share it with you guys. We've got some big special projects coming out, and also if you've not checked it out, check out my 2024 NASCAR schedule predictions that came out earlier this evening if you haven't checked it out. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching tonight's race review, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.